Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening to my videos. I appreciate those of you who are new subscribers to this channel. Thank you so much. Yesterday I did a video where I spoke about the end of the road for Black support in America, that this time is coming, that changes are coming. And I spoke in a very straightforward manner. To some, it may have seemed harsh, but I'm not trying to be harsh. It is just really important that Black people understand this. And I'm not excluding my non white counterparts or subscribers, but this is just an area that has to be addressed. Okay. And I spoke about a lot of the behaviors, a lot of the things that is on display for the world to see. And with the internet, these things go worldwide, and it continues to solidify, and it pushes the narrative that Black people are lowbrow, low functioning individuals. And this message, the message that I spoke about yesterday, was based on a video that's out about these two Black men who assaulted and beat a very, very, very old man. He looks old. He looks frail. Turns out the man had suffers from dementia, and he was trying to open a car that he thought was his daughter's, but it was not. And apparently, the owners of the car, these two Black guys, came out and beat him. Okay, there was nothing in, well, it's one that actually did it from what I saw, and the other guy just stood there. Okay, there was nothing in them to just find out what was going on. Couldn't recognize the man as old. Hey, this is not your car. Even if the man was being, sometimes people with dementia, they can be, what's the word that I'm looking for? They can be difficult to deal with, especially if they believe that they're right in a matter. But you should have the compassion to understand and to get the person the help they need. It's just no reason whatsoever to do what occurred, what happened. And let's say worst case scenario, they will say, hey, we were trying to tell him that this car is not his, and he called me the N-word. Even then, irrespective, there must be some self-control that you don't allow anything like that to set you off to go to behave in this manner. Now, so far as I know, the man did not do anything like that, but I'm just giving you a scenario. And what I'm saying is these things, these behaviors, these stereotypes about Black people is going all over right now. Now, in this case, it wasn't a stereotype, it was a fact. This guy did this. But it pushes the narrative of, you see how these people are. And so yesterday I spoke in depth about that. If you did not watch that video, I will pin it below in the comment section, and you guys can watch it before you get to this video. I want you to understand that I am not trying to be harsh. I'm not going to apologize for the things that were said yesterday, but I do want you to have an understanding of why I speak in that way, because it is very important that we as a people speak truth to one another, and we should be encouraging one another to rise above the circumstances or situations that you may be in, to have a desire to better yourselves, regardless of whatever unfairness and inequalities you feel exist. There is more than enough for you to do better and to live above where you are right now. It's just that change can be difficult. It requires disciplines. It requires, you will face challenges and working through those things. And sometimes it's easier to just be lazy. It's easier to blame. It's easier to be dependent on government assistance. It's easier to give in to your anger and your rage. It's easier to squander your life. It's easier to procrastinate. Or it's easy to react violently in whether it's physical or verbal. And so to to shift the onus from yourselves, you're going to blame the white man. You're going to blame society. You're going to blame your father who wasn't present, or your mother who was not present. And you're going to blame the light-skinned people. You're going to blame the everybody else. Somebody may blame the dark-skinned people. You're going to blame the Indians. You're going to blame the Africans. You're going to blame people from the Middle East. It just goes on and on and on. And it stunts one's growth and keeps you in a place of always complaining and griping and moaning and harping and misbehaving. Let's just put it like that. We have to police one another, and change begins with a person in the mirror. Recognizing, seeing your life. You see, sometimes with black people, some black people, you're going to think and you're going to look at, you think it's normal. Sometimes you may think it's normal to be loud. You think it's normal to fight. You may think it's normal to just be selfish and just think about yourselves. You may think it's normal to think you're better because you're lighter skinned. Don't you know that Willie Lynch, the slave owner from way back then, a slave master, this in the letters that he wrote to the other slave masters and how to remove cohesiveness and oneness between black people was to separate them by their shades and color, having the lighter skinned slaves do certain jobs and the darker skinned ones do more field work and the less prestigious things. And not that anything in slavery was prestigious, but they will be doing the things that clean the house, our house, being outside, and then the lighter skinned ones were on the inside and treated them better and instilled in them that they were better than the other slaves in an inadvertent way. And so that created division. So today we have black people comparing their skin tone, hating the darker skinned ones, looking for the lighter skinned ones, loving the ones that look white and mixed, right? And it's just it's a mess. You don't see that stuff with white people. White people are not going, oh, I'm whiter than you. I'm paler, or I'm more tan. They're not doing that. They're just like, I'm white. They're just Europeans. They're Caucasian. They're not sitting there calling each other any sort of racial slurs, derogatory. They're not doing that. But overall in society, overall in humanity, there are divisions. We know that. But for now, let's talk about black people. It starts first with a person in the mirror, looking at your environment, really paying attention to how you function. Pay attention to what your household is like. What is the climate in your house? Look at outside. Pay attention to your neighborhoods. Pay attention to how people interact with one another. And then look at other communities. Look at other black people, because not every black person acts the same way. But one of the things we have to do is change. So often black people, specifically black Americans that I can speak about, are going after the white man, the white man, the white man. But you're destroying each other. You blame the white man that you can't get a job, but you can get a job because there's a person who's come from a whole different country with less opportunities than you that can get a job. There are people who, they're not that educated, but they're willing to work anywhere and save and scrimp till they build up something. All of them live together in one bedroom house. I know Haitians did that a lot. I know Africans do that a lot. I know Asian people do that a lot. They take their time and bring each other up, and they'll rent a little place. One of them come up, they get a little place. Everybody stay, make pallets together. Probably 10, 15 sleeping in one room, going and doing the menial jobs, washing the dishes, scrubbing the floors, doing all that, and bringing their money and building together. And eventually they can get a house because they're helping one another. And then they go to college and they go to school, the opportunities that's available for you right here in this country. And they'll surpass you and they'll become your boss. And then you'll be angry at them for that. But let's talk about those within your own culture. Let's talk about other Black people who decides that, or whose parents enforces education and tell them you need to go to school. They didn't get to hang out and play outside all the time, or if they did, they had to come in and they had to study. And then these individuals, what will happen when that Black boy, Black girl, Black man, Black woman, they're studying and they're doing the things that they need to do? Well, other Black people will probably sometimes tease them, say that they're nerdy. They're going to tease you because the person may have different tastes, because there's a label. Well, if you're Black, you're supposed to listen to hip hop, or you're supposed to be talking like this, and you're supposed to conduct yourself like this, and you're supposed to dress like this. So when you have that Black person who is exploring different things, studying different things, and they have different interests, and they may like a certain type of music, they're a little more eclectic in what they listen to, who's teasing them? Other Black people. Not all, but you know what I'm talking about. If you're a Black person, you may have a different style, you dress different, you're more creative in your style, and they'll tease you for that. Black people tease you for speaking in proper English. I remember growing up, people will say, why do you talk white? Why do you talk white? And I would say, what is talking white? And I'm talking about not just when I was living at home and going to school, going to like high school and middle school. I'm talking about even when I left home and was an adult, a young adult, and other Black people will say, why do you talk white? You talk white. And they'll laugh, try to make you feel bad. And I don't know what that is. I didn't learn anything from a white person. You see, I grew up in a Black household, but my father believed in us reading, writing. Mom brought a whole set of Britannica encyclopedias, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Well, come to find out, well, Dad would then get the Britannica encyclopedias, and before we got to go out and play or do anything, he would give us something to read about, and we had to write essays. My father would have us doing multiplication. This is like on a weekend, okay? We had to do all these things during the week. We had all these disciplines. I didn't like it, but I've come to appreciate that. We had to read. We got to go out and have fun. I grew up in Brooklyn, go out and play with our friends and all of that, go out in front of the building, play red light, green light, all this stuff, open up the fire hydrants. We got to do those things with our friends and hang out, but even that was limited. My father he ruled with a strong hand, and he's like, you're not going to go out there. And I remember once saying something, I forgot what I said, but my father will always correct me. I can't say something like, you be. He like, you be? And he said, come here. What is this you be? And he'll correct me. So we were not allowed to just speak any old type of way. He taught us to speak properly, not broken. Now, sometimes on my videos, you hear me all speaking, may change the way I talk, being funny, but I know how to speak. But it was black people that's saying I was talking white. And then you have other black people who wants to do better. And then there'll be black people telling them you doing too much. You think you're better than us. So that person either becomes isolated, or what happens to them? They begin to pull back. They know they want to do more, but they're trying to fit in. And what happens when someone becomes successful? A black person becomes successful and they do well, and they decide they want to come back and give back to the community. The community latches onto them, is trying to take everything, and becomes entitled. They get mad at you, okay? Well, I know you got paid today. You can buy a car, you can't give me money. You just bought this, you got new shoes, you can't do this for me. Or if they move into the area and they have their nice things, let's talk about neighborhoods and stuff, as I said in the past video, where the neighborhood is run down. Black neighborhoods run down, streets are dirty, blinds are ripped out, missing, foil paper in the window. And you have that one person who actually keeps their area clean. The lady put nice flowers in the front, or the person worked very hard, saved up, and got themselves a car. They come and they bring the car to the neighborhood. What happens? People begin to do what? Either they steal the car, break into the car, mess up the car, or now this person is obligated to take the whole neighborhood everywhere. No one's putting gas in their car. People become entitled, and then ultimately what happens? Steal it or destroy it. The lady that's putting her nice flowers outside and everything, you have these people that come around and ruin her flowers, steal her flower, break them just for fun. There is a destructive pattern of behavior among a lot of black people. It is not all of them, but it's a lot, and it's enough where you notice that more. You're going to see more negativity about black people than you do positive things. And then, of course, with the media, it's going to push that more and more. The kids that robbed and stole and hurt people versus the ones who are doing well. But nevertheless, there's a destruction. It's like the fifth column over and over again, where black people are destroying themselves from within their own homes, from within themselves, in how they treat their bodies, not trying to eat better, abusing substances in some cases, hating themselves because of their complexion, hating themselves because of their hair texture, all this stuff, then comparing one another. Then they begin to abuse people in their household or in their houses, and then they go and they take that out into the community. Then they take it out into the workplace. I was watching something. It was about this old gentleman, who was killed by some young black males. The man had grown up in that neighborhood, went and did well, served in the war, got himself a nice job, and he decided he's going to stay right there in the community and give back to his community, trying to be a mentor, just a voice of reason for all the young black males and advice to the young ladies and all of that. And somebody just decided they're going to steal his car. And so they went in there and robbed him and shot him for whatever reason. I think the plan was to steal the car, but somehow he came home sooner than they expected, or he went outside and he was shot for his things. So you have this nice gentleman who grew up, stayed, and he was killed by his own. And this happens quite a lot. So now when black people, they go and, before I even go there, the other thing, speaking about money, even with your youth, sometimes black people are so quick, their kids turn 18 or 17 and they will kick them out the house. Or when they're there and they're working, the whole family now are circling that kid, that person's little bit of McDonald's money or movie theater money or wherever they work, a Taco Bell, this little job they have for the summer, so they have to give it in. All of a sudden, mom or whoever is telling them they got to pay the rent, they got to help with the utilities. So basically, take the whole check and guilt the child and make them feel, well, I raised you and I did this. If you need their McDonald's money, you need to think about this. As parents, it is our job to have funds to whatever degree. You may not have everything, you may not have access, but a lot of times parents, black families, are unable to do for their children because they sit a lot and moan and groan about what the white man's doing because they did not go back to school. Okay, you didn't learn how to read and write. You stopped going to school for whatever reason when you were younger. There were plenty of programs now that you can go to school and you can get your education, but they don't want to. Especially when you have a government that's going to give you money, you could just sit home and get a check every month. That keeps you, you can stay in low income places and just stay there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. People can go through hardships and they need that help and they need that assistance. They need that, starter kit. Let's just put it like that. And then, but the idea is for you to get better. And once you get better, you will no longer need it. But it's easy to become dependent on easy money. Oh, they give me a place to stay. Oh, I only got to pay, what, $25 rent? And people will still not be able to do that. So what are they going to be? They're going to become dependent on their kids, right? They have nothing to offer because they did not do better. So when their child starts to work and earn their little money, instead of showing them how to save their money or how to invest or putting them with somebody that may know how to show them that, or the very least save, put money aside, that child cannot do it. Because grandma, mama, dad, everybody is trying to get the little $200. They become dependent on it. They will argue with that child about it. They will cuss the child out and tell them they're being selfish when the child simply wants to be able to enjoy their money, enjoy their earnings, or put stuff aside. We have to do better. There have to be change in the community. We have to call each other out. We have to police each other. And that starts with those you know in your household, those in your community. Doing better, having some structure. And it's hard to do sometimes when you've been used to living a certain way. It's hard to get up and make some breakfast. Lots of mothers sleeping in, the kids are putting around, gnawing on some old hot dogs in the fridge that's cold, or trying to find something because mama don't want to cook. Mama don't get up and do anything, but up all night, partying, having a good time, stuff all over the place. And there's some people, the house is neat, the house is clean, but mom's absent for whatever reason. I know that I don't know everybody's story. I don't claim to know everybody's story and everybody's history. And I know that every black person is not the same. But what I'm saying that even a lot of times, even with black people who want to do better and are trying to study and are raising the bar and the standard for themselves, a lot of times they are attacked by their own people. And once they become successful, their own people will be trying to get over on them with this expectation. Well, you need to give us, you need to do this. When you have a good job, everybody's expecting you to be able to give them money and will make you feel bad if you say no. Well, you have a job, you have a house. Well, people don't just sit there and look at because someone has a car and someone has a house. All that requires maintenance. If you have a house, you have to pay property taxes. You have to pay for your maintenance. You have to pay for your insurance. You may be paying homeowners association fees. They still have to pay for food, keeping their house clean, stocking it, all of that. And in addition, they have to be taking care of the exterior of the house, all of that, paying for repairs. If they have a car, it means they also have insurance. They're paying for gas. They have to pay for maintenance. They have to get their car registered. They have to pay for insurance. They have to pay for oil changes, little things that can happen, washing the car, gas. People often will look at what you have and they assume you could give me. No. It is good to help others, but I always tell people, I'm going to help you help yourself. That needs to be your thing, people. When it comes to helping people, help them help themselves. Point them in the direction of organizations and things that they can do to better themselves. You can give them something for the moment. Hey, here's some money for groceries, or here's something for you to eat. Here's a place for you to give you a room here that you can stay at this place. Put them in places where they can stay, because they need to still feel that urgency of, hey, I need to do something. I can't stay in this hotel forever. I can't stay at this shelter forever. You know what I mean? So I will help you help yourself. I'm not saying you can't put your hands in your pocket to help people out, because everybody has needed that every now and then. But you know what it is where people become dependent on you. And that happens a lot with Black people. So they will attack one another. They're also going to talk about the Black person who does better and move into the white neighborhood, or now their social circles change. Well, that's kind of what happens when you educate yourself. You end up being around a bunch of white people or people of different backgrounds and classes, because that is what education does. It's going to elevate you, and you're going to have jobs and connections where you have people who are diverse. And unfortunately, because a lot of Black people are choosing to feel sorry for themselves, you're going to see less and less and less Black people as you go up higher. You're going to see less and less Black people when you're going into certain neighborhoods and certain communities. You can now afford to get this house and that house. You're going to have a diverse group. You're going to be around more middle class, upper middle class, or higher, depending on your socioeconomic status. But that is not something for them to feel bad about. But Black people will be blaming them. Oh, you married a white woman. Oh, you married a white man. Oh, you have white friends. Oh, you live in a white neighborhood. Oh, you're bougie. No, they just worked hard. So those type of attacks now alienates and causes a division, where now you have some Black people who are trying to get away from other Black people because they're tired of being attacked. They're tired of being criticized. I'm not saying that a person cannot love the skin that they're in or love their people, or there's anything wrong with marrying a Black person or doing anything like that, because Black is beautiful. I love Black people. I love a lot of things about us. Okay? But oftentimes it's like the crab in the barrel mentality. And that has to change. There's trauma. A lot of times there's trauma. There's some sort of negativity that's trickled down from the days of slavery and continues to influence families at present. One, you have to educate yourself. Two, start in the mirror. Start in the mirror, educate yourself. As a Christian, I believe in God. I believe in prayer. I believe in picking up the Word of God and reading it. I love the book of Proverbs. Ask God to create in you a clean heart, renew within you a right spirit, change your mind, because a lot of times the issues and things that people are going through is based on the condition of your spirit. The condition of your spirit man. It is ruined. And because of your spirit is restless, and you follow every whim and every feeling, you end up behaving a certain way. There's certain patterns of behavior that is just prominent among the Black community. You have to, for me, I have a relationship with God in the sense of, what does that mean? It means every day I pray. Every day I ask and seek God for guidance in how to treat other people. And I know that it is, I move away from religion and learn about God. Because religion will make you pious and it will make you evil in a lot of ways. But when you're asking God to deal with you and every day create in me a clean heart, oh God, renew a right spirit within me, what happens is you begin to become more aware of yourself and the things that you say and the things that you do. And you become more aware as your spirit becomes more you become transformed through the Spirit of God. You begin to see things, your eyes begin to open up to what's around you and the way you are conducting yourselves and the things that you need to do. And you have the disciplines to do the things that you probably feel that you can't do. You become a better person. You stop hating someone because their skin is different. You begin to look at how you're talking to those in your community. You want to stand up more and speak up for those in your community. Not turn the music up when you hear someone screaming and everyone's, oh, I need to mind my own business. And I understand that in today's society, a lot of people are saying, let me mind my business, because you can be trying to help someone and you get killed. But too often it's just people don't care. But they'll film it. You're guilty. You film a crime, you film an assault. That's what you thought to do, to film it and then upload it on World Star Hip Hop or whatever channel for likes and shares. Come on. Black people, you can do better. And you have to stop feeling the pressure from other Black people who tell you this is how you're supposed to talk, this is how you're supposed to act, and if you don't, you're a traitor. And if you don't, you're a sellout. Because there's this code that we all have to follow, right? And sometimes what people do is, in order to be cool, in order to be accepted, in order to keep themselves from being beat up or talked about or teased or bullied, they say, okay, maybe I'm doing too much. Let me be more Black. So we're seeing a pattern of behavior that is on the world stage, and we're seeing it more and more and more. And there's a self-loathing. I believe that in a lot of Black people, not all, but there's a lot of them that behave this way. And so when individuals like myself, I speak this way, then I'll be attacked. I hate you. No, think about it. It's the truth. I'm not selling anybody out. I'm saying it is time to change. Police one another. Police up your community. But isn't it also that there's a fear that if you try to tell people the right thing to do, that they'll kill you, that they'll take you out, that they'll beat you up? So what does that tell you about the community? A lot of times people end up having to get away from that said community. A lot of times people end up having to do business in non-Black communities or with non-Black business owners, non-Black business owners, because a lot of times, sometimes when you're trying to do business with the Black owners, they come up short or they become laid back. You take your car to the Black mechanics, the Black business to get stuff done, and they're taking forever. And, hey, sis, I'm not your sis. Fix the car. You're trying to get stuff done. We see it a lot. It's not all the time, and it's not every Black business owner that's this way, because I have known Black business owners and I see them and they get things done. And when I find these places, I'm a faithful patron. But I don't feel like I'm obligated just to go to a Black business owner or go to this place or that place. But sometimes I am forced to go elsewhere because I am a stickler for customer service and quality and getting things done. And so that's what happens. So people are leaving and going elsewhere. They're moving out because if they try to stay there, they're going to break your flower pots, break up your car, and people expecting you, give me a ride, do this, or they're going to beat you up. A lot of the time, some people, they leave and they go and they live overseas and they're more free. Why? They can listen to the music they want to listen to, and they can be as diverse and as eclectic as they want to be, and not be teased because they like classical music, or be told you're talking white, or be told, oh, you're so dark to be pretty, or you're so, oh, why is your hair this way, you know? You can go somewhere where people are curious. I've had people that's curious about my hair, my textures, and the way it changes. I don't take offense to that. I'd rather teach them and show them, because there's nothing wrong with me. I don't have a chip on my shoulder. Oh, you asked me about my hair? Things have to change, Black people. We can't just be victims all the time. And there's a destructive pattern of behavior that's there. A lot of it has come from trauma and learned behaviors that's just trickled down, and you see the results of it. And everybody's not going to change. So sometimes you just have to pull yourself out of that community. Sometimes you just have to leave. Get out of there. Start somewhere and pray and seek God and ask God to guide you, because a lot of the problem with the Black community has a lot to do with the condition of their spirit. Now, you may not believe in the God that I believe in. You may believe in your own God, but this is the God I know, and this is the God I believe in. This is the God that I can say hand on heart that transformed me. But it's not only about that. God, as he deals with us spiritually, we also need to take practical measures, and that's reading books and self-help and doing better, improving yourselves. And it's also in the way you treat people, treating others the way you want to be treated, showing up to work on time, doing the things that you need to do, these disciplines. Sometimes you are in homes and in communities, especially when you're young, where your entire family just depend on you. It's destructive, it's toxic, and you need to get out. And I always tell kids, if that's the case, study, focus, so you can go off to college. If you don't have that, you don't have the means to go off to college, join the military. I always tell people that. If you don't want to join the military, go online. They have plenty of federal jobs that you can get. They need postmen, they need social workers, they need nurses, they need dental assistants, they need all these things. They need cooks, whatever it is. You can get a federal job doing that and getting benefits and a package and all of that and doing well. Give yourself a chance. Or if you have the means, start your own business. But the first thing is you need to escape. Sometimes you just have to get out of that environment so that you can make a change. And then you can become better. And perhaps that will cause others who are still in this area to want to do better. But if not, you begin to start. You start fresh on your own. Sometimes you're going to just be on your own, starting fresh, and it's going to seem scary, but you're doing something for the next generation. At least the people you influence along the way. Black people, you are a beautiful group of people. For the longest time, we were told our hair is not pretty, and this is a standard of beauty. And you live in a country where you see everything white is a standard of beauty, right? And again, my white listeners, I'm not against you. I'm just giving the reality. We look up the posters, it's a white person. That's pretty much what it is. It's America, okay? You may see Black people, but it's not like you go to other countries, you see Black people on TV all the time. It's not a common thing here, unless you go to a channel specific for that. But advertising, things like that, you're gonna see white, any other color but black. And sometimes now we're, all of a sudden dark skin is in. Well, I don't know why it was quote unquote out to begin with, but all of a sudden dark skin is in. All right. And, but you know what I'm talking about. But you're beautiful, beautiful skin. The most powerful thing in the most powerful force in the solar system is the sun, along with gravity, but the sun. And we are not affected by the sun. The sun loves us. Beautiful brown skin, you go in the water, you come out looking like caramel and copper. When our hair is in this natural form, you go in the water, you come up, your hair is shining like you have millions of diamonds in your hair. Our diversity, our speed, all of that are different shades. You have a black person that could be super dark and then light. It's amazing. A family can have same mom and dad, just have different shades of children. It's amazing. Your speed, just the way we do things, it's wonderful. But that is not enough. It's time to heal your souls. The trauma, the hurt, the pain. And that's going to be spiritual cleansing, change of the heart. And step by step by step, things can change. But it starts with you, and it starts in your house, and it starts on your block, and it starts in your community. And sometimes when those within your community, they don't want to change, you have to be bold enough to step outside of that so that you can make a change, especially when you're living in America. Thank you for listening to my video. I hope this makes some sense. I hope you will be driven to change because, as I said before, right now there's sympathies or tolerance for a lot of things that Black people are doing, the abuses that's being thrown out there against non-Black people and all of that, guys. But there is an agenda. There's a group of very powerful people who will allow things to happen for a reason, but eventually they're going to pull that card. Because what they're not going to do is allow Black people to take over and to begin to abuse white people and mistreat them. And a lot of times it can be a part of a whole big game that people need to see Black people on the platforms acting a fool, so they can be justified by saying, hey, these people are in danger. How did Hitler come into play? Because Hitler was able to show that, to paint this narrative and show this picture, paint this picture and push this narrative that Jewish people and handicapped people and gypsy people, they were this way, and people followed. Right now, white people are being demonized and everybody's going along with that. Understand that it can come right back around, because when you do wrong, what you sow, you're going to reap. If you fight racism with racism, you fight hate with hate, right now you'll feel like you're on top, but it's going to come back. And Black America, things are going to change. When? I don't know. But believe me, they're not going to keep tolerating abuse. Because those who are on top, it's not Black people. You can make things work for you. Yes, there's racism and things happen, but you can make things work for you by, number one, getting your education. You may not be the most educated person, but you can provide for yourself. And you raise your children and you do the hard work and you discipline yourselves. You can make change. You can do well. Or you can try to fight a system and think that you're going to get rid of all the white people. That's never going to happen. They're not going to allow you to do that. So as I said in the past, set your mind on God. Listen to His voice. Allow yourself to be healed. so that you can be a better person, a better mother, a better father, child, neighbor, citizen. Because changes are going to come. And when those changes come, you want to be in right standing with God. You want to have His grace and His favor when reform comes, because that's what it's going to be. There can be no change anywhere else if it doesn't start with you. I hope this makes sense. Bye, guys.